John Lee Real Estate, find you the best rate. All throughout Philly like Schuylkill Expressway. Talking to people who out of...
So here's a question I want you to sit with for the next 10 minutes or so. How do you actually know before any work has been done and before you've seen a single result, before $1 has changed hands, whether you can trust the person you're about to hand one of the biggest financial decisions of your life to? Now, most people can't answer that, so they do the next best thing. They look at a price, they can look at a fee, a commission, a number on a piece of paper, and they assume the person who shows them the most detail, the most transparency, the most cleanest breakdown, that's the one being most honest with them. To be honest with you guys, I used to think that too. Then I spent 8 years selling real estate, closed over hundreds of homes, and built a business where almost 100% of what I do comes from referrals. And I watched what actually happens when people decide who to trust with their money. Now, what I found was the opposite of what I had expected, and I'm not going to tell you the answer yet. And I want you to stick with me because by the end, I think you'll look at how you pick a realtor, or honestly, anyone you pay for something that actually matters. And that is going to change how we look at things here differently, right? And here is the general idea, right? Most people think trust works something like this. Show me everything, right? All the numbers and fees and comps, and then I can evaluate you. And transparency equals trust, right? The more you show me, the more I can trust you. And that's a very clean theory. It's also backwards, right? There was a study last year that looked at exactly this. They wanted to know, when a business is completely transparent about its pricing, does that actually make people more likely to buy, more loyal? And the answer was surprisingly no, at least not on its own. Transparency by itself didn't move the needle. What drove whether someone bought and came back was whether they had already trusted the brand in the first place. The transparency only mattered when the trust was already there. So in plain English, showing someone your pricing doesn't build trust. It only works when they already trust you. The reputation does the heavy lifting. The disclosure is just confirmation. Now, I'm not bringing you this because of one study, right? One study isn't the law of gravity. I'm bringing it to you because I've lived this exact thing for 8 years, and the study just put words to something I kind of already knew in my mind, right? So let me show you what it looks like in my world of real estate. Almost everything I do, and I think I had mentioned this to you before, a good portion, if not all of my business comes from referrals. Here's what that actually means in practice. By the time most people get on the phone with me, the decision is already made. Somebody calls me to buy or sell a home, one of the biggest financial moves of their life. And a huge number of them have already decided they're working with me before we've had a real conversation. That is before I've shown them a comp, before I've walked them through my pricing. Why? Right? Because someone they trust said, hey, call John. I trust him, right? It's all built on trust. The trust got transferred to me through someone else before I ever showed up. Picture a couple selling their home in Montgomery County. We get on the phone, and within 5 minutes, I can tell they're not interviewing me. They're asking logistics, right? When can we list? What should we do with the house? They're acting like I already have the job because in their head, I do, right? And when we get to pricing, I lay it all out confident because I know what I deliver 90+% of the time. There's zero friction. Not because I hid anything, because the trust was already built before the numbers ever came up. But I don't want this to sound like a victory lap because it's not always like that. And the times it's not taught me more. Sometimes I'm meeting someone cold, no referral, no one vouched for me. The trust isn't there yet. And the one thing I'm always going to be is transparent about how I'm priced and confident, and it's fair because it's tied to value I actually provide. Here's the most honest truth most people in my business won't say out loud. Sometimes that just doesn't work for someone. They want the cheapest option, right? They want me to compete on price against someone who will do it for less, right? Same exact information, or what appears to be the same exact information, same fair pricing, same confidence, and completely different result. And the only thing that changed was that the trust wasn't there first. And in those moments, I don't bend. I won't slash my value to win a deal that was only ever about being the cheapest. Because if the only thing holding a relationship together is that I was the lowest number, in my opinion, that's not a relationship at all. It's a transaction waiting to fall apart the second someone comes in lower. I'd rather lose that deal and keep my integrity than win it and spend 90 days managing someone who never trusted me to begin with. That cost me business sometimes, but it's true. And you came here for true value, right? So back to the question I asked at the start, how do you know before any work is done whether you can trust a person you're about to hand one of the biggest decisions of your life to? So here is my answer. It's not the clean checklist most people want. You can't know from the price, you can't know from the quote or the line items, because all of that only means something after the trust is there. The disclosure is downstream, always. So what you can do is pay attention to the trust before the transaction. Where did this person come from? Who vouched for them? And do you trust who vouched, right? Do they carry themselves like someone who's done this enough times to know their own worth? Or are they negotiating against themselves to win you? Because confidence in your own value is information. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. The people who have the best experiences are almost never the ones who found the cheapest, most transparent quote. They're usually the ones who started with trust, usually because someone they trusted sent them and let the numbers just confirm what they had already believed. So next time you're picking someone for something that actually matters, an agent, a contractor, anyone you're handling real money with real stakes to, don't start with the price, start with the trust. The numbers come second, and that's the order it actually works in. The other way around just feels safe. So that's the whole difference between people who get burned and people who don't. It's not how carefully they read the fine print, it's whether they got the order right. If this shifted how you're thinking even a little, send it to one person who is about to make a big move and is staring at 3 quotes trying to pick the cheapest one.
John Lee Real Estate, find you the best rate. All throughout Philly like Schuylkill Expressway. Talking to people who out of